maybe it's a good thing that they've got a little bit longer of an offseason this year to attack all of these things because they do have a laundry list of things to address.
Well, I thought it was awesome that he addressed basically every single topic that we had questions about. And some, honestly. And he did so in a way that was as informative as it could be, I thought. Obviously, him talking about just the topics that came to mind freshly off of their postseason exit, the lack of 5-on-5 production, the injuries to some of their key players. I mean, he flat out said, like, look, as far as Mikko Rantanen was concerned, I saw every single day that this wasn't the guy that was playing it 100%. He then ultimately revealed why with the injury that he had suffered. He talked about the fact that losing both Roope Hintz and Tyler Seguin, like he said, those are two of your best 6 players. Without them, like, we are not the team that I basically built. So he touched on every topic that I think we were curious about, that fans were curious about, and he gave as transparent answers as I think we could have asked for.
I was going to say, that's the
Tyler
nice thing.
Seguin a top 6 forward? That feels a little borderline. Certainly
His
Roope
comments,
is.
Jim Nill's comments.
I know. I hear you.
In
but
terms of
Well,
resume, I think that's part of it,
What he
right?
said,
Sure,
he
but-
said too later on in the press conference that Tyler Seguin was playing his best hockey that
did
he
say
had
that.
seen
Right.
him play in
Yeah.
Dallas. So it's a fair point.
But also part of that is this team is in this weird transition mode where they had Benn and Seguin lead the charge for so long. They finally get reinforcements, but they're on the back nine of their career. And now you've got this weird, hey, Wyatt, Robo, all of these young guys on the roster that are phenomenal goal scorers and the heart of the offense, really, in some ways. Who takes control of that? That's where this team is. It's always nice to have a mix of veteran and youth presence, but it also kind of feels like there's a divide, not in terms of how they meld, but in terms of the direction of the team.
Well, and he did say, almost unsolicited, he said, I think earlier in the press conference he was asked, hey, is there anything that stood out to you about this season and then specifically this postseason run? And he answered it early on. And then he went through the 300 injuries to the guys that took place over the course of the season. And then unsolicited followed that answer up with, hey, and you asked me, did anything stand out? And he specifically pointed out the fact that these younger guys have finally felt enough, I guess, comfortability within the locker room, within the frame of the organization to say, hey, no, look, I do feel like I'm at the point, like Wyatt Johnson saying, I do feel like I'm at the point where I could take a little bit more of a leadership role or be a bit more vocal. And it is in that point of, hey, you've asked, if we're going to keep this window open, how do you do that? It's with these younger players taking accountability of the team and stepping up. And I guess through his lens, he feels like those younger guys are finally starting to feel like they can.
Right.
So let's listen to a little bit about what he did have to say today. If we can start with SOT 1.5, this is how he opened the press conference and elaborated on just how difficult this season was.
As we stand here today, the organization and myself were disappointed. We have high expectations here, and we didn't fulfill that. And it's frustrating. And what really makes it frustrating is kind of what we went through this season. It was all my years in hockey, it was probably one of the most demanding seasons, regular seasons I've ever gone through. And that's the whole league. It's not only us, but the whole league with the scheduling, travel, and for us, really the injuries. And that's what makes it frustrating because we had a heck of a season. We were third overall in the league. 50 wins, top 10 in all categories other than penalty killing. And to sit here now and see we lost in the first round is disappointing. And, why is that? There's different reasons. First of all, I want to give some credit to Minnesota. They did a good job. I thought Minnesota got to their game quicker and better than we did. And we were behind them the whole way and never caught up. I was worried about, with 3 weeks to go into the season, I was worried where our team was at. I could see that we were lagging a little bit. And, as you start the players, you're hoping you're going to get it going. And I just felt like, this is just me personally, talking to the players, that we never got it going. And so it's disappointing. And like I said, we'll move on from there, make some adjustments.
So the phrase "make some adjustments" is instructive. We can roll right into SOT 2 here because this was an offseason that I think many people around the area thought might be, hey, they're going to kind of blow this thing up and start over again. Jim Nill made it clear today that is not going to be the case.
We're a good team. I'm not going to go out and make a bunch of changes. This You know, I've been through this rodeo before, you know, going back to my years in Detroit and stuff. You know, you go 3 rounds, the next year you lose in the first round and everybody wants to blow it up, and then you go the next year and go 3rd round and win a cup. So you got to be careful. I get back to, I don't think enough, I don't want to say this the right, enough emphasis is put on the 82-game schedule. It's tough. I don't think there's enough advantage to a team. I don't think Colorado gets enough advantage for winning the President's Trophy. If you win the President's Trophy or win your division, what it is, I don't know what it is. Is it your opportunity to start where you want to start against a team? I don't know what it is, but there's not enough emphasis on how hard the regular season is. It is hard. It's the parity in the league now, the travel within the league. Every night is a battle. You know, you guys are around the game all the time. It's a battle every night. If you're not playing well and your goaltending's not good, you're not winning that night. And it's just getting hard.
Appetite around the league to make it a push for a change in it?
We talked about it. I just don't know what it is. You know, we always have internal discussions. What is it? I don't know what it is. But there's, you know, to win the President's Trophy, it's hard to do. To win your division is hard to do. Tell you the truth, make the playoffs is hard to do nowadays. It's tough. And so now I sound like sour grapes. I'm not putting all the emphasis. You still got to win in the playoffs, but you get. So as far as, you know, I guess my message is we're a good team. Is there going to be some changes? Yes, probably. It's going to happen organically. It's going to happen. People pushing for jobs, but this isn't. I'm not blowing this up. We're too good.
So that was a long walk, but eventually he got around to the point of, hey, we're not going to blow this thing up.
Yeah, and I just, as you know, as the token fan in the room of the Stars, this team, I mean, I'm disappointed that we exited in the first round. He said it too. Everybody's disappointed they exited in the first round. But all season, this group was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I, as a fan, am very, very comforted by the fact that he's not intending to make a ton of moves in the offseason just because they didn't reach the bar that they've reached the last couple of seasons. And that made me feel a lot better about things.
I also think, and again, a lot of this is knee-jerk reaction to an early exit when we all thought this is an experienced team worthy of another deep run. And I've said it ad nauseum now. Like, it's a war of attrition. You never know who's going to literally live in some cases with some of these injuries to see the end of the season as a person on the roster, just based off of how physical and demanding the sport is. With all that being said, I do think there is real value towards staying pat with a roster that has proven itself over this time frame. Again, did they capitalize on when the chances that they had before this? No. They went to 3 straight Western Conference Finals, didn't come home with the cup. But you've seen a litany of examples, specifically in hockey, specifically in other sports, where the core is just 1 year away and they need things to just bounce right. Maybe it's the matchups that they don't get in the playoffs. Maybe it's finally the injury bug not biting them. Anything along those lines. There's a litany of reasons and excuses that any one of these teams can make up. But history is often fawned toward teams willing to run it back one more year. And the knee-jerk, let's blow it up and start a 5-year rebuild process around young talent is not always guaranteed to work either. And that's part of where this team is. It is a team in transition and trying to figure out, do we want to trade away a piece like a Logan Stankoven to get a Mikko Rantanen and try and win this year? Or do we foster the young talent and let them slowly take over the roster moving forward?
You needn't look any farther than the Colorado Avalanche to find a team that bowed out last year in the first round after a difficult playoff series and bounced back to be outstanding this year. And I don't think we knew in October they were going to be as good as they've proven to be. By November we knew. Like, it didn't take them long to prove to everybody, holy smokes, they're unbelievable this year. But we didn't know that in October. We thought they were going to be good. We thought they were, again, going to be challenging at the top of the Western Conference. But for them to be stratospheric this year was not the expectation, especially after bowing out last year in the first round. But they kept the core together. They built upon it. And now look at them. They are the favorite to win the Cup this year and look really good, at least so far in the playoffs. So it's not that hard to see that Dallas could do something somewhat similar.
But go ahead.
Just another example that comes to mind immediately is an NBA example where you have the Thunder, who the Mavs beat in the playoffs the year before the Thunder won their first title, and they kept their core together. They obviously added some fringe pieces, and I think Jim Nill has proven that he has the eye for adding those pieces necessary to a really solid core to be able to overcome and eventually win. I think the frustrating part about this season was it kind of felt like you had those pieces in place last year, especially with bringing in Mikko at the trade deadline. You know, you make it to the Western Conference Finals. It kind of felt like last season was, you know, that season where they had been there, they had added the pieces, and not only do you have a really good core, you have those kind of supporting pieces in place to make the run. I think that's what makes this season a little bit harder to swallow, just because if the injury bug didn't bite as hard as it did this season, and I mean this season, like he went through injuries that took place back in October, November. Shoot, go back to Jamie Benn and his lung collapsing during the preseason.
Exactly, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Right, and he touched on, you know, some of these injuries that were suffered this season were freak accidents, like Radek Faksa's injury that they thought could have been season-ending. I mean, it was much more serious than we were led to believe.
He said he lacerated his foot, got stepped on in the corner, and he even hinted a little bit in the direction of like career threatening.
Yeah. Right.
And then this dude was back on the ice later this season. Yeah.
You know?
Just another concept that hockey players have a different
level of
idea of toughness.
And all we've been hearing about Mikko Rantanen is it's a lower body injury, but he's fine. It's a lower body injury, but he's fine. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, it's an MCL tear.
Yeah. Again, there are stories of guys breaking legs in game 1, getting a rod inserted and being back by game 6. Like hockey players just have a different definition of what toughness defines. But Jamie Benn is kind of the case example of what this entire team is going through. He is aging. He's on the back 9 of this. We don't know how much longer he's got to be part of this. We know what value he has as a captain. The question is whether he does come back, Mike.
Yeah, well, is he on the back 9, or did we just see him walk up the 18th fairway?
Right.
Like, this may be over.
Right.
And Jim Nill was asked today what he expects. Does he think that Jamie Benn is going to be back for this season? Kelly, this is cut 4. And Nill made it clear at the very least what he wants to see happen.
Do you anticipate Jamie Benn returning to the start?
Jamie and I have talked just shortly. We're going to talk. We're going to give him a couple weeks, but I want him back. I think he wants to come back, but I'm going to give him that time. He needs to go through this and figure this out. But the organization does want him back. Yes.
We sort of I feel like deja vu because it's similar to what you said almost exactly
Last
a
year.
year ago.
Yeah.
You saw what happened. Was the conversation any different than maybe it was a year?
No, and if any of you guys know Jamie, he's devastated. He takes these losses as hard as anybody. He takes responsibility for it, and he just needs to just sit down and be a good father and a good husband right now, and just chill a little bit, and that's what he wants to do. So I'm going to give him some time.
Jimmy, regarding, I'll piggyback on what Joan has asked about Jamie. A lot's made from fans about the captaincy role, which he's had for
13 years, I think. 12 or 13.
That's a remarkable
Yeah,
run.
it is a great run.
If he does come back, do you feel like the organization is in a place of transition and given that C and that responsibility to a younger player?
If he comes back, no. He is definitely the captain. I think if you talk to anybody in the dressing room, he is the leader, and got so much respect, so much respect, and that'd be a definite no. But everybody, I always enjoy. You bring players in from other organizations, some trades and things we did and stuff, and that's the first thing that comes up is just how strong this room is and how much they respect the leadership in our room. So that's always, you're always trying to figure out, is there some weaknesses here or there, but I don't think that's a weakness on our team.
The great Jonah Javad and Mac Engel, both of Ultimate Dallas Sports Show fame, asking questions there to Jim Nill about Jamie Benn. It kind of feels like what he's basically saying there is, if he wants to come back, you're welcome, and you'll wear the C. That is your job until you don't want it anymore. But it also does kind of feel like he's at least mentally preparing himself for the possibility that Jamie does decide to hang it up.
And it's also interesting to me, the dynamic we've had this discussion twice now on this show of who could take over that role.
Yeah.
It's hard to find someone that has the pull that Jamie does, which is the reason why he's worn it for as long as he has. He's carried this franchise on his shoulders in that regard. Whether or not his actions on the ice are always the best solution to a problem is obviously up for debate, but
different conversation.
Right.
Yes.
You can't argue points, assists, what he's meant in terms of leadership, and trying to imagine this team without him as the primary voice in the locker room is a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've discussed. It's something that Jim Nill was asked point blank today. I don't know if we want to bring that up. But
Yeah, SOT 7, Kelly, Jim Nill did get into if Jamie Benn does decide to hang it up, who might that be?
Yeah, I'm not going to divulge it, but I've been thinking about it. I know time's coming. We've all got a window, and
Like defense or offense? Goalie?
both. No. Great question, but I don't want to divulge it because there's 3 or 4 guys in there, and we can go different directions. Younger, older, in between. So something we'll think about. But right now I'm focused. Jamie's still the guy, and we'll go from there. And then I think Jamie will have a lot of input in that too. He has a good feel for the room, so I want him to have some input in that eventually, whenever that happens.
He did kind of save it there at the eventually, whenever that happens, Jamie Benn will weigh in on this. I thought it was interesting that he said 3 or 4, because I think we all kind of feel like it's one of 2 guys, either Wyatt or Miro, or the 2
I'm still not on the Wyatt train.
It's Miro. As much as I love Wyatt, he's too young. It's
Yes.
Miro.
Again, if Wyatt was like 27, 28, and you wanted to slap the C on and give him the gravitas that he needs for it, that's one thing. Just freshly out of college, basically. I'm not sure. And again, it's not saying that I keep wanting to say this. It's not saying he's not capable of it. There are
Sure.
2 separate sides of this. Like he can grow into that. I wouldn't mind seeing him with the A and learning from behind.
Yes.
But when you have a team that's this close, you want someone that has enough, not wear and tear, but miles on the odometer, and find out whether or not they can facilitate things in a similar way that's not, hey, this is a totally different team vibe.
Jonah asked him, does he play offense or defense? And maybe Nill tipped his hand a little bit by saying both. Maybe
Yeah.
that's his way of saying, it's probably Miro.
I want to go back to the Benn thing for a second, and I'm going to pull up some B-roll here, just in case you don't know who Jamie Benn is. There he is.
That's the bad stuff.
that's our captain.
Thanks,
Captain, our
Kelly.
captain.
I know.
Thanks, Kelly.
And
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
That's
I
what
do
it
adore
is.
him. If he decides this is it, time to hang him up, does he move to the front office in some capacity, as we've seen so many other players do when they have a legacy with the team?
Are you sure you still want to roll this B-roll, Kelly?
It's the worst moment he's had.
I don't care. I adore him. I'm also trying to make
like,
a
why do you
point,
think
not
he's my
really watching.
favorite?
I can't do 2 things at once. I can't multitask. Actually, I'm constantly doing 2 things at once. I can't do 8 things at once.
If y'all could see the plates that Kelly is spinning behind the scenes and just doing everything under the sun.
And
Okay.
again, our job in doing this was not trying to throw him under the
No,
bus
no,
with
no,
this
no.
B-roll.
No.
Absolutely not. And we've had this discussion a little bit already.
Yeah.
But again, he is an interesting figure in that regard,
But-
because so much of it is his physical prowess on
Yeah.
the ice.
But
versus,
if the leadership steps away from the locker room, is there a role for him somewhere in the front office to keep that leadership within the organization?
I'm still trying to imagine him in a serious meeting having the 5-second pregnant pauses between words sometimes.
I don't think that's how he communicates
I'm
when
sure
he's
it
not
doesn't.
in front of a television
I'm
microphone.
sure
though.
it doesn't. But that's my association with him. So that's the way I lean in. But still.
Well, I'm pretty sure his brother is either on the staff for the Texas or for the
Jordy is someone who used to
AHL.
play for the team
Yes.
years ago.
and so family business.
Thank you for actually being the one person to answer my question, Michelle.
Yeah, anytime. But
You didn't answer it. You skirted around it.
Whatever. I dogged him again. That's my fault. I apologize.
I know Jamie Benn is avid watcher of the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
Huge fan of Mike.
Hi, Jamie. Wait,
Most
let me try to
Dallas
handle this.
athletes are.
Hi, Jamie.
So is Trayvon Diggs. One of them.
There is.
I think Jamie hasn't beat.
There's a Jamie Benn fan in that where there we go. Can I point to Kelly? There
You
she
have a lot
is.
more respect for the Brady Bunch now. So we're learning from this.
The Usher clip.
Exactly.
There's one other
Totally
topic
lost.
that we do need to get to here that was very out of nowhere.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's Jason Robertson.
Yes.
And if we can call up cut 9, Jim Nill did talk about what he expects the offseason to look like relative to the contract discussions surrounding Jason Robertson.
We started talking last year, right, kind of just about 6 weeks after we were done last year. We talked back in June and July, and went back and forth, not much happening. We got closer to September, and his agent, his family, and myself, we said, let's just, if you remember a year ago before training camp, remember he had that tough time at camp, he got injured and stuff. We want him to be focused. And so we said, there's two things. Get your game going, plus there was the Olympics coming up. We didn't want any distraction. We said, let's let this go. Let's go have a good year, get your game going again, and we'll talk at the end of the season, and that's where we sit today. So my plan is to reach out to his agent here in the next week or so, and that's our focus, is to get him signed. He's a big part of our team, and we drafted him, developed him, and we think we want him to be a Dallas Stars for the rest of his career.
So if you thought they were going to trade him, that certainly feels declarative that they're not going to. That has been a rumor that has ensnared this team for about a year now. Certainly sounds like, anyway, and obviously we've talked before about in other sports, you get into lying season, and it's certainly plausible that Jim Nill is just saying this because it's the prudent thing to say right now, and he may be looking at other things, but that's certainly
but I understand the point.